Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow With Us. My name is Evan Barton, and I'm your host who helps create conversations with the innovators and leaders of a growing tech center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Grow With Us podcast highlights in-Tulsa talent's work of bridging Tulsa talent with tech opportunities and the revolutionary work around the city. In-Tulsa's mission is to connect talented individuals and companies to stimulate economic growth in Tulsa and to create more prosperous communities across the region. Each episode, Grow With Us discusses the growth of opportunities, the growth of communities striving for change, or the tech and innovation that is changing the landscape of Tulsa. On this episode of Grow With Us, we are in conversation with Aaron Whigham, the Managing Director of NewU. We discuss the programming and mission of NewU, getting in the driver's seat of your life, and how this program has connected different identities of Tulsans into a unique and meaningful community. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited for our episode.
Evan, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. I'm so excited.
One of our longest awaited guests is Mr. Aaron Whigham today, and I'm so excited for you guys to get to hear some of the wisdom that this man is going to be able to share with us. I'm super excited, but I'm going to give him the chance to introduce himself and tell us his story in whatever way he feels comfortable. So, Aaron, if you don't mind.
Sure thing. So, picture it, Sicily, 1920. No, I'm joking. Aaron Whigham, born and raised Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I spent the last 8 years at Penn State as the Director of Strategic Initiatives. There, I built a bunch of programs, worked with teams, led revitalization efforts on campus. And one to note, though, was the Mon Valley Launchbox, which was a business incubator. Basically went in, brokered a deal with a local mayor and said, hey, if you give us a space rent and utility free, we'll start to pump businesses back into the community. Mm-hmm. The community was extremely blighted. The relationship with the community was very recalcitrant, very toxic at the time. Yeah. And so Penn State was kind of looking for a way to be able to re-engage and reignite that relationship, rekindle that relationship. And so it was kind of two things at one time, if you don't mind me just going the story.
Of course, no.
Yeah, so the revitalization effort was happening on campus because things had gotten a little stale, you know. It happens in a university setting from time to time. Got a little stale, and so we got a new chancellor in. He was thinking about what needs to be cut in order to move forward, like how do we prune to grow, right?
Yeah.
And he asked me, actually, it was a team of us, and he asked me and another woman to lead the team. And so when I went into that conversation, I led with two questions. One, the first question was, now this is a room full of staff and faculty, about 70 of them at the time, right? That are in this room. They don't quite know what's about to happen. I asked two questions to start the whole conversation. First question was, if our doors close tomorrow, would the community miss us? Unanimously, the 70 individuals in the room said the community would not miss us if our doors close tomorrow, which speaks volumes, right? Yeah. This is a billion-dollar institution, founded in 1855, land grant institution. Like, it shows you like how far off base they kind of gone from that land grant mission when the people who are your neighbors won't miss you if you're gone, right? Yeah. Or at least that's the perception that you have. And then the second question was how many times do you look in the mirror before you leave the house? And so this one says 5, this one says 10 times. This one says, 25 times. Somebody said like 32 times. I said, you're probably right? You wake up, you brush your teeth, you get in the shower, you look in the mirror, you wash your face, look in the mirror. Like, if you think about it, it's probably a couple dozen times.
Yeah, a lot more than you might think.
Yeah, exactly. And so I said, when was the last time the campus looked in the mirror? We hear a lot about what the community's not doing. Mm-hmm. Have we taken any accountability for what we are or are not doing? Yeah. So out of those conversations, that revitalization effort came, we opened a free store on campus that was student led. We did edible landscaping. We planted berry trees and whatnot, so the community could come on campus and
interact.
Yeah, exactly. We had those little bird houses with books in it.
Yeah.
So we did the ones with books, and we also did them with canned goods. So throughout the campus. So it was now inviting the community onto the campus. But in that whole conversation was looped in around entrepreneurship, and that's where the idea for the incubator came. And so we went, brokered the deal with the mayor. It said, "Hey, we want to help with entrepreneurship. We want to use our resources to be able to, cultivate that, and we just need space. Give us space in the city." And so he says, "Okay, cool, let's do it." Yeah. So, long story short, we launched it's called the Mon Valley Launch Box in Pittsburgh, and we spent a lot of time rekindling that relationship with the community. We started a jazz series called A Taste of Jazz, where we had a Grammy Award-winning jazz artist come in, and we featured a couple of the restaurateurs that we brought through the incubator. Yeah, and we played. The community paid $15. They basically got a concert and a tasting of their food, and then we called it A Taste of Jazz, right? Yeah. Place was packed to the gills, wonderful time. Fire marshal came by, like, is everything okay? Like, what's all these cars here?
Who are all of you people?
Yeah, exactly. And so it was wonderful. I mean, it wasn't a fire marshal, it was the city manager who came by, and he checked it out. So, I mean, it was great. So anyway, that was back home. That program was going really successful, led to a call I got from Atento Capital, which is the VC fund here in Tulsa. Shout outs to Mike Bosch. He reached out to me and said, actually via LinkedIn, he said, "Hey, see what you're doing in Pittsburgh. We'd love for you to do it in Tulsa." That started our conversation. And so this was March of 2020. Pandemic just hit. Like, I've never been to Tulsa. I've never been over Oklahoma. It's completely not on my radar. Yeah. And he's like, just come, just come. We got you, we'll figure it out. Right. Yeah. And so I come here June of 2020, my wife and I, the weekend of the Trump rally, the weekend of Juneteenth, 2020. Wow. When I pulled up here, buildings were boarded up because they thought there would be riots and whatnot. And I was like, where in the world did I just move to? But I just took the leap of faith and came, Yeah. And so got here, led a program called Tulsa's Emerging 100, which was an effort to help 100 minority founders start a business in 2021. And raised $100K from October to December. January, we kicked off programming. By June, we had 100 businesses on the platform. By November, we had about 180. And so based on that success in Tulsa, which is the talent arm of GKFF, reached out and said, "Hey, we see what you're doing. Based on the success you've had with this program, can you create a diverse talent funnel for us? We're having a little bit issues connected with different communities to have diverse talent funnels." And I said, sure. So we went through several whiteboard sessions. Out of that was birthed NewU. So NewU was a way for diverse talent to imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of yourself. So who is Evan? Who would Evan like to become? And how do we create a path for him to get there? We go through vision casting, self-assessment, self-discovery, personal development, professional development, and life mapping. And at the conclusion, they present their life maps to a room full of ecosystem partners that can help that map become a reality. And so we launched this in February of 2022. And we are now in our 6th cohort in English, our 3rd cohort in Spanish. Our graduation is Saturday for both of those. And then we also have the college track that we launched called NewU Next. Nice. And so we're very excited about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, thank you so much for jumping into all those things. And I'm just going to jump in and kind of talk about how Aaron and I intersected really quick, kind of at the beginning. Yep. I've heard Aaron give this story in a lot of ways. And I always remember you say Father's Day normally whenever you're moving here. But I think it contextualizes it a little bit more, obviously, with just knowing what was going on in Tulsa when you came here. And I guess looking back retrospectively, what was going to happen after you got here is kind of wild to think about. I mean, just so many of the things that we've either been there in parallel working together, kind of seeing grow, and then also the things that have really spun up and out since then. And so it's so cool. I thank you so much for sharing that. And one thing I wanted to highlight about Aaron, just knowing Aaron, is that, and I think I've mentioned this on a couple episodes of the podcast, when I've always given you a shout out. I always give Aaron a shout out just because, like, really, I think that you were the person that I framed it as opening the back door for me a little bit
Gotcha.
into this ecosystem because, the pandemic was such a hard time for anyone graduating college and looking for an opportunity. And I think that it's just really noteworthy to know that person that was able to open a door, whether it's the back, the front, or the side.
Yeah.
And, you just really caught me at the greatest time for me to be able to, I feel like I have a 2.0 version of myself from before, like how I interacted with Tulsa before I came back after graduating. But now my 2.0 version of myself has been how I've intersected and interacted with this community really since you opened the door for me. So I always I want to give credit and for you to hear that too.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Evan. And everything was well deserved. I mean, when you were going through that whole experience and the work that you did in helping me with TSY at the time, I mean, you showed me there was commitment. You showed me that you were willing to work hard. You showed me that you were very smart and that you were able to problem solve, which is very, 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 very important.
Yeah.
And that
a lot of problems to solve.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But to a problem, I'm a problem solver, right?
Yeah.
And so when I saw your ability to not bring me back what I gave you, but to bring it back better, or to take something that would have been awry and make it into something that, is at least presentable, right?
Yeah.
And so I saw you do that on countless occasions, and I was like, oh no, we can't let him go. Like we have to transition him into a role. And I think I'm just so grateful that they did. And then everybody began to see the wonderful tapestry of Evan Barton in his skills and his abilities. And so
I'm only adding squares at this point.
I see you, man. I see. You're doing wonderful work, though, honestly.
Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate it. I think something that, kind of just relating to that conversation a little bit is just how Tulsa has obviously been a landscape, a geography, if you will, of like how we've really interacted and intersected in a lot of ways. And so I'm really curious to hear that, like since June of 2020, and now we're sitting here in November of 2022, how has your relationship with Tulsa changed? I think one thing that I want to highlight, at least for you and then also for our listeners, is that a lot of folks that we've interacted with on this podcast have either been longtime Tulsans or almost like within the year Tulsans, whether it's from Tulsa Remote. And so
kind of midstream.
You kind of right in the middle of like, someone that came to Tulsa with a mission, and that mission has changed multiple times.
Yes.
And so I think I'm very curious about what your relationship's been like.
Yeah, my relationship so far with Tulsa has been wonderful. Tulsa has given me the opportunity that I deserved. And I don't say that to bloviate or to be braggadocious in any way, but the access that I did not have in Pittsburgh, I have in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And the programs that I'm creating now, I created back home too. Like maybe even better programs I created back home, but it was very much a candle under a bushel. And Tulsa has said, no, we'll welcome what you're doing. And we'll put money behind what you're doing, and we will put effort behind what you're doing. And how can we better position you to do even more, right? Yeah. And that is one of the beautiful things about here. Like I've really grown to have a love affair with Tulsa. As I've gotten to know her more, and as she has yielded more to me, it's been a beautiful marriage so far. My wife and I, we talk about, not having the rat race of traffic, not having the rat race of office talk and water cooler talk and all. Like, I don't have an issue with any of that stuff here.
Yeah.
Like the work is the work, and you do the work and you get fair compensation. And it's been wonderful for me. And so these last 2 years, it's been a beautiful thing to feel appreciated and valued as you do work that is typically thankless.
Yeah, no, I love you kind of highlighting that piece, because in a similar vein. I feel very similar. And it's not really something that maybe it's in the DNA of a city, and I guess we can kind of say now it's a little bit in the DNA of Tulsa, at least in this ecosystem that we're, I guess, really privileged to be a part of, because I think that that's the downfall of those larger city experiences where you get lost, or you feel undervalued, underappreciated, and undercompensated all at the same time.
Yes, keep going. More unders.
All of the unders thing.
Yeah.
And it's obviously not to paint a perfect picture of Tulsa without its flaws, but it is to say that there are certain ways that you can navigate this space. And we've had people tell these stories about, I'm only one phone call away or one email away from that connection. That accessibility piece is so, I don't want to undervalue it in any way, shape, or form, because I think it allows for the programs and the things that are gap fillers for this community to emerge in a brighter light. And I think that's what's been needed. Either here, it's what's needed in a lot of cities, and I'm so glad it's happening here, and I'm getting to see that light being shown on the things that it needs to be shown on. And I think one thing that has been, just in these 2 years, I think I was doing a little bit of a tour of Tulsa earlier today and talking to someone, and I told him for the first time about what happened at the Black Wall Street Massacre. And it was really, because he's from Israel, so it's really interesting to just know that
he knows nothing
about it, knew nothing about the legacy, and really a lot of what I was kind of contextualizing it with was, obviously we're interacting with the geography and the legacy of what's left, but also we're walking into and seeing what's being built in conjunction with the people that are still here. And we talked a lot about family legacy and legacy on both sides. And I don't know, I bring that up because it's so interesting to think about the opportunities that can come from that. And I think that I've seen, especially in kind of the programs that you've been working in, people take that legacy and that all of these things we've been talking about, like accessibility and access and opportunity, and throwing that into their DNA, their family DNA, or what they've wanted from something else, or from another city, maybe another opportunity, and getting to see that kind of flourish here. So I bring that up to lead us right into NewU, because I think that we've been seeing a little bit of Tulsa's 2.0, and I'm sure you could say it's had a 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and those all look different. But I mean, I really would highlight that this 2.0 of Tulsa hopefully has that equity piece built in. And that doesn't mean that people aren't building it and putting it in. It means that the people are saying that that's what needs to happen. And so I don't know. I guess that just leads us to talk about NU, and kind of, you touched on it at the beginning, but what's the origin and the mission of that program that you've kind of designed for us?
Great question. I tell the cohorts of NewU that NewU was designed about 2:30 in the morning, somewhere between 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning, in my living room, as I'm pacing, doing figure eights, right, through furniture. And actually, when it came to me, it was not NewU, it was just NU. And I kept saying NU. I could see the logo, I could see NU, and I had them kind of intersecting, the N and the U intersecting, it's NU. It's NU. It's NU. Yeah. It's NU. It's NU. It's NU. And out of that, wrestling with that, grappling with that, massaging that, NU became NewU, and then it became the NewU NU. Right. And so I just kind of massaged that out over 3 a.m. My wife is sound asleep, and and I'm like I said, just walking figure eights in my living room. And so when you start to talk about the mission of the work, which really is to put people back in the driver's seat of their life. So many people have allowed life to happen to them. And one of the things we talk about is there's a responsibility to driving, right? It's a privilege and also a responsibility. And so, but it's something that you need to do for yourself. So when you're looking at something that has happened to you and you're saying this happened, that happened, the third happened, what do they say? Like 10% of life is what happens to you. 90% is how you react to it, right?
Yeah.
And so when you start to think about it, giving people the hope again to realize that like you can take the broken pieces and you can make whatever you want out of that.
Yeah.
Right. It may not be a cup again, but whatever you make is yours. Like you're the new designer.
Yeah.
And so like, how do you take the things that should have torn you apart, the broken glass in your life? What do you make out of that? Like there's art that's made out of broken glass. It's like somebody has it's how you take those moments. One of the sessions, I'll give y'all a little teaser here. One of the sessions,
please do.
We talk about these moments, and I asked them a question on there. I asked them a question in the session, like, give me a pivotal moment in your life, good or bad. Pivotal does not mean that it was, some people it's when I graduated college or high school or whatever. Some people it's when I had my first child. I was 16 years old in school and I felt ashamed, right? Or some people I was 25 years old and I had my first, and it was the first grandchild for my parents, and I was, right before my father died, or you know what I'm saying? So like I try to drive the message for them to really think about these pivotal moments, good and bad, right? And then what we do is we take these points and say, these pivotal moments, momentum is the sum of moments, right?
Yeah.
If you link moments together, all of a sudden you have momentum, good or bad, doesn't matter. Good or bad, it is moving you to something, right?
Yeah.
And so what we do is I go around the room and they'll say, I'll put dots on the board. Every dot is a moment, right? And we'll create these dots. And then we go back to nursery school where we connect the dots, right? And out of the dots, we make a figure and we say, well, what is that? And different people guess and say, it's this, it's a buffalo, it's a this, it's a that. And then I'll rephrase the question, or I'll redirect it to say, but Evan, you have the power to define it.
Yeah.
I know what they said. What do you say it is, right?
Wow.
And now you can take these moments and say, you know what, it's a masterpiece, or it is a mess, and I don't ever want to do it, right?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster. Yeah, whatever you want. And so, like, how do you define these things? And so really putting people back in the driver's seat is the heart of the program. Like, no longer let life happen to you. Let's make life happen. Let's get in the driver's seat. If it's time to start a business, move all fear out the way and start the business.
Yeah.
If it's time to, leave a toxic relationship, get out of being comfortable and leave. Like it's time. This is your time right now. We follow that up with like the value of time, right? And that's a whole nother conversation. I'll let y'all go ahead and pay for that one.
No, good.
So but to go back, the mission is really around putting people in the driver's seat of their own life.
Yeah.
Personal, professional. It's all under the umbrella of human development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Human development. I love the way you described that. I mean, honestly, just personally right now, I think that mental health has been like a really big challenge for me.
Yes.
I've been going through this kind of loop in the past couple of weeks or so where I feel like, life is happening to me and there are things where I'm out of the driver's seat. Yeah. And it's so important to be introspective in those moments. But sometimes I catch myself like, I am only being introspective and I'm not doing anything
about it.
Yeah. I can give you the catalog. I can give you the log line of what I've been feeling when I've been feeling it, but I can't tell you what I'm doing about it.
Right.
And that's the thing that I feel like this program, and obviously what I'm telling you is I need to have a NewU happen in my life. Okay. But I think the important piece of relating that is just that being in the driver's seat is something that you can't take for granted, but it's also something that you can find yourself so quickly out of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Life happens. You feel, and when I guess when you say life happens, it's like you're not driving because you're saying all of these things are happening to me.
Right.
When you're saying life happens,
right.
and I think just being in control of that, or at least having the wherewithal to say that you know that life's going to happen in this way. And obviously you can't plan for everything.
Exactly.
You can't predict the future, but
Exactly.
what you can do is have, I think what you guys do in this program to prepare yourself for all of these different outcomes and to understand how being in the driver's seat is going to allow you to reach these milestones that you may have, and you may have been driving towards that path at certain times in your life, but something has taken you out of the driver's seat.
Exactly.
And I mean, me personally, I need to get back in the driver's seat, and I know that like a lot of people are benefiting from that, and which is awesome.
And just to underscore that one moment here, you know, we talk about the different seats in a car, right, during the session, and we start off in the back seat, and we talk about how as a child we start off in the back seat, and actually we don't face forward, we face the rear, right? We're not even looking going forward. Somebody else is completely taking care of our future.
Yeah.
Right. If you like metaphorically, right?
Yeah.
A baby in a car seat is facing the rear, and somebody they're trusting 100% a driver to get them wherever they're going. Yeah. Right. And then you go from there to you sit in the back seat still, but you face forward, right? So you can see where you're going, but you're still trusting somebody else to take. Then you grow up a little bit more, and then you're allowed to sit in the front seat, right? Yeah. And you get in the front seat, and there's responsibility there, right? Like, if you grew up in my house, like you're the DJ, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta
okay. You're gonna get an airbag too.
Yeah, you get an airbag now, right? Exactly. And then when you finally get in the driver's seat, though, now you're responsible for everything that's going on. Yeah. And sometimes people don't really want to drive.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel like somebody else is driving, but they don't really want the responsibility of having to drive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that can be weighty. And so we kind of grapple with that a little bit.
100%.
And if I could tell you a quick story about when I first felt the responsibility of being in a driver's seat. I was on a church trip. There was 2 15-passenger vans, and I'm from Pittsburgh, like I said. Yeah. We were going to Myrtle Beach for a conference, right? And I have, all the church parishioners in the van. I'm driving down, and get the old lady got to put the stoop down so she can step up on there, and got knee problems, and you got to help her up on the van, and they got to go to the bathroom every half hour. Oh, yeah. So a 10-hour trip became 20 hours. Oh, peaches, and they got to stop and get some peaches and pecans. Oh, we got to stop and get
scenic tour.
Yes. So we go down there, we have a great time. We're coming back, right, and we're coming up through the Appalachian Mountains. We're going through Virginia. It's like 2 a.m, right? One of the headlights on the van is out. It is raining cats, dogs, and moose, right? Oh. And I can barely see. I'm exhausted, and I'm holding one eye open. This is before Red Bull. This is before a 5-hour energy, right? I'm dating myself right now. This is before 5-hour energy. This is back when they used to have pills called Vivarin, right? Okay. And we're climbing up these mountains. I mean, these are one lane, like one way this way, like, and you're going over just these cliffs that 2,000 foot drops or whatever. And so we're going around the Appalachian Mountains, going back home. And like I said, it's about 2 a.m, and I look in the rearview mirror, and everybody in the van was sound asleep.
Yeah.
At that very moment, I felt the weight of responsibility.
Yeah.
If I make one false move, somebody doesn't have a husband. Mm-hmm. Somebody never sees their child again.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't get to marry someone, right? Yeah. Somebody doesn't get to have their first child. Somebody never gets to, somebody's future, their purpose has been uprooted out of the earth.
Yeah.
Right? If I make one false move, and I literally felt the weight to the point that now we are in 2022. This is 20 years ago. Yeah. And I still feel the weight of that moment. Right. Yeah. And so, but that is the weight of responsibility when you are in the driver's seat. And we hope to help condition people to get in that driver's seat and then to drive their life like like nobody else can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a great story. And it's so the responsibility of being in the driver's seat is something that I don't know if you can work yourself to think that you're prepared for it. But then when you're in it, it's like, you really get that realization of like, okay, I can do this, or I might have needed a couple more things to get there. But I think to bring us back to this, your program and what that does for people is it is exactly that preparation and also the skills in which to, know how to check your mirrors when you're driving the car of life or whatever. And I'm very curious to, hear kind of from you, like, how have you seen this impact the Tulsa community? What has the response been like for people that have gone through this program?
Response has been absolutely amazing. People are stopping me on the street. Hey, you're the NewU guy, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, that's me. But yeah, it's been a wonderful response. People are growing, they're becoming. And one of the beautiful things is, Evan, we've been able to take individuals who've gone through the program and now employ them to actually facilitate the program.
Yeah.
So we have in our 5 Hispanic facilitators, 5 Hispanic women, Latinas, right? Bianca, shout outs to Bianca, Alejandra Mata, Alejandra Palamo, Tanya Garza, and I'm forgetting somebody. That's 5. Yeah, that's 5. Jenny Flores. Yeah, Jenny Flores. Shout outs to all of them. Jenny actually runs that unit. But they all had a heart to go back, and here's what's wonderful about it. They all said, Aaron, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no way I'm not going to not pay you, right?
Yeah.
But they all said, Aaron, I'll do it for free. So they went, and now they're teaching NewU in Spanish to their community. And it's just absolutely wonderful to see. And then what we're doing is also creating platforms for individuals to get exposure. So they're helping me with some of the back office stuff, some of the admin, responsibilities, so that they can actually get exposure within the ecosystem. And those people are getting hired now, right? It's beautiful to see a whole new wave of individuals that are either immigrants to the country or who are now who are citizens, but they moved to Tulsa. They're transplants, right? Yeah. And they're being engrafted into this ecosystem, which is really beautiful. And I'll tell you, one of the most powerful things that kind of happens, Evan, is that somewhere within that 6-week cohort, there is a point where we have individuals who've gone through the program from Serbia, from Netherlands, from Guadeloupe, from Ghana, from Korea, right? From Honduras, Peru. These individuals from around the globe are different socioeconomic status, right?
Yeah.
And different ethnic backgrounds. But there's a moment that happens in every cohort when humanity rises.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're brothers and sisters, and they're we are the world. Right? There's like this whole, and now they go get coffee together, and they go and do, and it's like this person may be a 6-figure earner, doing these wonderful things, leading departments. This person may be a stay-at-home mother, and they don't have an inclination to get back in the workforce, but they're saying, when we're talking about this issue, it's hitting me and you from 2 different points, but we both can, have that human experience
level
to be setting. Exactly. So it's very powerful to see. So the impact that it's had is like, it's really bringing communities together. That's one of the more powerful things, I think, from a ROI standpoint, is this social capital. Like, Tulsa remoters are in the program, meeting natives from Tulsa, meeting immigrants from other, like, and there's this beautiful meshing, this beautiful tethering of ethnicities and histories that are coming together to make the community even stronger.
Yeah, I love the way you package that, because it's I've had a couple people that have gone through the program, and that's what they've said has been the novel experience for them. And I think even Raquel said that just an observation of communities and spaces in Tulsa, it kind of feels like, to your credit, that NU is the first time they've all been in the room together.
Yep.
And obviously, I mean, I say obviously, but it hadn't been obvious until it started happening. But this was so needed in the community. Like, how how are remoters conversating and creating community with people that are not that are natives to Tulsa, or have been in Tulsa for longer, but didn't get paid to come here, or all of these ways that people have essentially now congregated and have chosen Tulsa as their community. How are they growing and being in network and in community together to grow it with each other's interest and like worldviews in mind in a lot of ways? And I mean, I just see that as such a value add to this community for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's coming back here, I feel like I had to have this opinion on like, do we like Tulsa remoters? Do we like that people are coming to the city and getting paid for it? And it's like, as a native Tulsan, I think you're inclined to say no, but because you're like, oh, that money could be going back into the city. And there's multiple examples of, I think, just these strategies that kind of are attracting people to town. But I think that the point is that it's finally clicking that there are ways to connect and there are ways to build things that that make that dollar amount so insignificant that it ends up being the community that pours back into itself, and then also the people that go back into those communities to uplift them and to inspire them. And I've just seen that in so many ways through graduates of NU, and it's almost like you're telling them to take this somewhere else.
Yes.
And I feel like you are, because they have no choice but to share this knowledge that probably hits them at a point, like you're saying, at either where they're a catalyst for change or they're at this breaking point. And being able to meet someone that's and see someone at both, maybe you're in the middle, just creates that human experience and that human development. So I so give you props, and I'm so excited that those connections are happening.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about, kind of the alumni experience of this program. What have you seen people take from in you and from this new you that they've been able to develop over the 6 weeks and longer in some of the programs? But what have you seen them be able to do with this experience?
Great question. I'm going to take a moment to really brag on some of our alumni, if you don't mind. So we'll talk. You just mentioned Raquel Wilson. If you haven't heard her, if you haven't met with her, you need to meet with her. She's a dynamic woman. Went to Ohio State, came here through Teach for America, and has since pivoted into entrepreneurship. She leads a company called Raise the Bar Investments, and she also is a development director. So she raises capital both for someone, and she teaches you how to raise money for yourself. But she's a dynamic woman doing amazing things. She's won a couple pitch competitions since she went through the program. She also has written 3 books. Well, it was 1 book, and I told her, I said, you need to break that book up into 3 books. And because it might be for the demographic you're writing for, it may be too much to digest at one time. So if you give it to them in segments, then, so anyway, she ended up, her editor agreed, and our publisher wanted to agreed. And so they ended up breaking it into 3. So she has her books that she's written, and she's doing amazing work. She just bought her first house. Like I can brag. I can go all day bragging about her and her willingness to just jump in and go. When you look at individuals like Dr. Montana Kane, who came in, once again, a Tulsa remoter. She comes in from South Carolina by way of New York, and she's doing amazing work here with research and evaluation, picking up contracts, doing basically being able to synthesize programs and policies and strategies to where they actually reflect in the data. So she can take data and flex it both ways. She can tell the story from the data, or she can make the story tell data. And she's doing amazing work with that. She's actually created our evaluation system for NewU. There's, a ton of them. There's, Morgan Rowe, who went on to, she was a TSY fellow, came in, went through NewU, and now she had got picked up by Disney. And went and did some work down there with Disney. We're so proud of her. There was a young lady, Kayla Valencia, who went on and got picked up by Southwest Airlines. So, I can go on and on and on and on about, we've had individuals who have tripled their salary. We've had individuals who have, like I said, purchased their first home. We have individuals who are on weight loss journeys who are down now 50 pounds since they've gone through. We have, and it's funny to get these updates from them, in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Aaron, thanks so much. I just want to let you know. I'm like, yeah, keep them coming. Like, I need to hear this.
Yeah.
So that, and I'm not worried about proving the program. Like, if the proof is in the pudding.
Exactly.
I want somebody else to hear that you did it, so that they know that they can do it too.
Yeah.
Whatever your it is, right? If they can do it, so can you. And so I relay these stories everywhere I go to young and older audiences, so that they can hear the progress that individuals are making right here in Tulsa. This evening, I have to go do NewU Next, which is the college version. And I'm seeing these young people's eyes as big as golf balls, because they're hearing these stories and they're like, this is people in Tulsa?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know this. I don't know this reality here. I haven't met these people yet.
No.
Oh no, we gonna get y'all together. Don't worry about it. Just keep coming. I got something for you. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing that, and I've been kind of blessed and privileged to witness and intersect with a lot of these graduates. And one thing I talked about on our episode with Raquel was about the graduation piece, and not to spoil it, but a big part of that piece is like writing the letter to Tulsa, or at least that was the first couple of cohorts.
Yes.
And it just like always brought me to tears. I don't know if there's a dry eye in the audience during those moments, because you've got, it's filled not only with the stakeholders that need to hear, or that love to hear that development, but it's also the people that have been supporting those folks through it before and then after.
Yep.
And it's just so impactful to see that personal development that goes on, and then it delivered in that way. Shout out to Jordan, who films those.
Yeah,
too.
Jordan McNair. Yep.
He's just got a great vision with that. And I just love seeing that that point A and point B. And it sounds like everyone is kind of mapping out what point C, D, E, and F, and they're circling back.
Exactly.
They're letting you know, which is so exciting and awesome.
Absolutely.
Aaron, this has been an amazing episode. I've really, really enjoyed chatting with you about NewU. One thing I wanted to let you end on too is talking about the vision for these programs and where and how anyone that might be listening that's local to Tulsa might be able to get involved.
We started with a just normal NewU in English, and then we added the Spanish track in July. We started the college track last week, which is NewU Next. And then we will start a virtual track in March of 2023.
Nice.
Where individuals from around the country can do NewU in cohorts of 20 to 25. And then a 6-week program, and then we'll bring them in for a 2-day Tulsa immersive experience, and then send them back singing the praises of Tulsa, right? Wow, and so the program is expanding, our team is expanding, and in terms of how to reach us, we have our website, which is newutulsa.com, NEW, the letter U, so NEWU Tulsa.com. And then there on social media, we have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn is just NewU Tulsa. And so if you are at NewU Tulsa, so please feel free to follow us on social media and go on our website. You can apply. Our programming ends here in November, but we will then pick up in January with a fresh perspective. Like we'll be new, and then we're looking at all those people who are saying, New Year's resolutions, New Year, new me, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be full of new viewers at that point.
I love it. Yeah. Aaron, thank you so much. I think it's such an amazing asset to the city, this program. And obviously we've talked about the people that have been impacted by it, but I think the geography of Tulsa is going to be impacted by this program, and it already has by sending the people back in. And now with the virtual track, they're going to be able to impact whatever community they're coming from, which is just amazing. And can't sing your praises enough, but thank you so much, Aaron. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
I really want to thank you for having me, Evan, and the support of the George Kaiser Family Foundation. I have worked with many a foundation. I'm coming from a university, right?
Yeah.
So I've worked with many a foundations. I've never seen a foundation be so willing to spur innovation in this type of way.
Yeah.
And so kudos to all the individuals there, Ben Stewart, Ken Levitt, that are doing just amazing work and supporting amazing work. Thank you so much for that. Also to In Tulsa, Meg Thomas, all of her team, for the work that they are doing with taking these candidates and finding placement for them if that's what their next path is. So this is just wonderful. It's great to sit at the top of funnel for the Tulsa experience, right? And we're looking to do bigger and better in 23.
I love it. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for being on this episode of Grow With Us. For our listeners of Grow With Us looking for new opportunities, please join our talent network to stay in touch with our featured jobs and opportunities by visiting talent.intulsa.com. That's talent.intulsa.com. By joining our talent network, you will get access to our newsletter where you can stay up to date with our latest career advice, featured opportunities within Tulsa partner companies, and our placement success stories. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when more episodes of Grow With Us are released. Let us know what you think about how we're doing by rating and reviewing. Huge thank you to our editors at Rant9 Production and Jesse Ulrich. This has been Grow With Us.